Hey guys, Jordan with TYT and TYT Politics. I'm here with Emma Viglin in a nice little studio. I don't know how I feel about it, but let me know what you think.
It's great.
It's got a nice little rustic feel to it, YouTube space, and we're trying to look a little more professional than my kitchen. Although I like my kitchen, so fuck off. Anyway, I just got back from North Dakota. Emma's been manning the fort while I was gone, and all it took was me to leave North Dakota for them to really just pass fascism. Fascism has been developing there, as you've seen over the last few months, but now they're essentially passing laws to make protest illegal, to make the desire to protest much more costly, anything to criminalize water protectors and, pretty much benefit oil companies. So I'm going to read this, and Emma and I are going to discuss it. This is yesterday. North Dakota House lawmakers advanced 4 bills aimed to give law enforcement more tools for responding to Dakota Access Pipeline protests. I think they have enough tools. Grenades, water cannons, tear gas, pepper spray, rubber bullets. Personally, the package of bills, which some opponents criticize as knee-jerk legislation, would double the penalties for some riot offenses, and create a new felony offense for individuals who cause economic harm while committing a misdemeanor. So if you cost the oil company money, economic harm. The legislation, which still needs to be considered by the state Senate, also would make it a misdemeanor to wear a mask while committing a crime. So you weren't here. You weren't there with me.
No.
So I was there a couple weeks ago, and the police said, "Take off your mask. That's an aggressive action." They're wearing masks because the police are tear gassing them. So basically, they're criminalizing the water protectors trying to protect themselves from the brutal police. Now you can't wear a mask while committing a misdemeanor. The legislation, which still needs to be considered by the state Senate, also would make it a misdemeanor. Oh, I just said that. Representative Terry Jones said he and other members of the House Judiciary Committee carefully considered the proposals with the goal of protecting the rights of North Dakota people. That's what this is about. Quote, the Judiciary Committee is working really hard to balance the rights of North Dakota citizens to protest and the rights of North Dakota citizens to live under rule of law and conduct their day-to-day activities. Yes, you're very worried about the protesters. Legislators voted 72-19 to approve House Bill 1193, which creates a new Class C felony offense for causing $1,000 or more in economic harm while committing a misdemeanor. So that's completely arbitrary. Who the hell knows what committing a misdemeanor, it's not like you get paid per hour on the misdemeanor. They're just inventing it. They're going to say any type of protest there is doing economic harm. So basically they are making stuff up. The new charge would apply to situations such as pipeline protesters who attach themselves to equipment to stall construction of the pipeline. So right here, in writing, they're telling you, we are passing legislation to help the private oil company. They can't be more transparent there. Quote, this bill protects constitutional rights for those that are peacefully protesting, said Representative Kim something.
It's pretty Orwellian.
Yeah, hold on.
La-da-da.
Said Representative Kim Koppelman, it just has consequences when they cross the line. Oh my God. No consequences for the police when they cross the line. They've obliterated the line. It's only for the what they call protesters. Opponents question whether the felony offense was appropriate. I am opposed to knee-jerk legislation because it's almost always bad legislation, said Congress Representative Rick Becker. Legislators voted 63-27 to increase penalty for riot offenses, going against the committee's do not pass recommendation. So what they're calling a riot, you saw it last week, is 75 or so water protectors setting up a camp and praying around some teepees. That's a riot in North Dakota. House Bill 1426 would elevate offenses such as instigating a riot of 100 or more people or providing firearms or weapons for a riot from a Class C felony to a Class B felony. That would double the maximum penalties for such offenses to 10 years in prison and or $20,000 fine. Engaging in a riot would become a Class A misdemeanor under the proposal with a maximum penalty of 1 year in prison and a $3,000 fine. Currently, the offense is a Class B misdemeanor with 30 days in jail and a $500 fine. Assistant Attorney General, blah, 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 testified during the hearing that individuals can be found guilty of engaging in a riot if they fail to disperse when ordered by law enforcement, even if they remain peaceful during the event. So by that standard, Martin Luther King was engaging in a riot. Legislators voted 85-6 in support of House Bill 1293, which would allow law enforcement to issue $250 citations for trespassing and property that is posted. Lawmakers voted 69-22 in favor of House Bill 1304, which makes it a Class A misdemeanor to wear a mask while committing a crime or fleeing a crime. And House members rejected House Bill 1383, which would make it a Class B misdemeanor to loiter in an unusual manner. It's so arbitrary. And not yesterday, but they're still trying to ram through that bill that makes it legal to run over water protectors. No liability if you just run over a water protector, if they're on the side of the street. So, a lot to unpack there, but what are your thoughts before I rage?
Well, I'm just thinking about how would I loiter in an unusual manner? Would I stand on one foot, or would I do a funny dance, like the chicken dance? I don't really know how you loiter in an unusual manner. Basically just saying they can't stand their ground if police are coming at them with fire hoses, etc. And I like the saying you can't cause economic harm, and that they're putting restrictions on protesting so that you cannot cause economic harm. I'm pretty sure that this country was founded on protesting to cause economic harm, aka what the entire Boston Tea Party was, and I thought you deep red North Dakotan government loved the Tea Party. Oh wait, you only love it when it fits your narrative and when it's not brown and Native American people protesting against your fascist government. So the idea that the North Dakota government that is so Republican and is really for liberty is going to try to restrict the most American thing that anyone could ever do, which is enshrined in our Constitution, which is the ability to protest and do so peacefully, should be a constitutional outrage for everyone, but of course they only really care about the oil profits, not about the founding principles of this country, which they seem to wipe their ass with on a daily basis.
I'm feeling very patriotic next to you. This doesn't even mention the other stuff I reported last week. So they have a bill now to empower Native Americans and to foster better education for Native Americans, essentially to seize control of Native American reservations in North Dakota. You want to know why? Because they want to drill on their land, because that's where the oil is. So drill, baby, drill, all about the money. They also have a bill in North Dakota to lower the threshold for reporting oil spills, which they don't report as it is. Unrelated to this whole thing, just came out today, I posted on Facebook, that Energy Transfer Partners, the parent company of this whole monstrosity, along with Sunoco Logistics, which just bought Energy Transfer Partners, had 69 oil spills in 2015 and 2016. That's just the ones they reported. So that's almost 3 oil spills per month between this company that's putting a giant pipeline under the second largest water source in America, the Missouri River. So they're trying to drill, they're trying to seize control of native reservations. But what I find interesting in that, they're very concerned about economic consequences. They aren't concerned about the economic consequences this whole thing has had on the Standing Rock Sioux tribe. If you're not familiar with that location, Emma and I have been there. So the Standing Rock Sioux tribe, their main income comes from the casino/hotel. It's their casino hotel. And because of that blockade on Highway 1806, there's been, that's the main highway for people to get to that casino. There's also been, business protests where a lot of people from Bismarck, the main city an hour east, I think, won't come down to the casino because of the pipeline demonstrations. But they've lost millions in the casino. They're not writing legislation to help the Native Americans because they've been hit hard economically. The most egregious thing there is they're literally trying to criminalize protecting yourself. They're not just talking about people wearing bandanas. They're talking about people like a reporter wearing a gas mask. That's considered a mask. Well, if you want to go, so basically not everybody wants to be tear gassed. A lot of elderly people don't want to be tear gassed. A lot of young people don't want to be tear gassed. I don't want to be tear gassed. So you protect yourself when the police are just abusing their powers, but this would criminalize it. Really what they're doing, they're trying to criminalize the First Amendment in protection of an oil company. North Dakota is the second largest oil production state in the country. And I was, if you see my reports the last week or two, the justice system is railroading Native Americans. Michael Wood Jr. basically told me, welcome to Baltimore out west. But what scares me about this, honestly, is, yeah, it's not surprising because this is a deep Republican state, but I don't see any mention of this anywhere but the Young Turks and some other independent media. And if it happens, it's not like the president's going to do anything. So, okay, right now the demonstrations are in Standing Rock, but there's going to be another Standing Rock. Sable Pipeline's escalating. Trans-Pecos is escalating in Texas. Not just pipeline protests against police brutality or whatever crazy thing Trump does in the next hour. Are we going to start seeing these laws? I think it's a really slippery slope.
Yeah, and just pointing out like what you were saying about how they're punishing people for protesting, it's the same kind of mentality for police and anyone in the ruling class. It's like, no, you're resisting a little bit, so we don't want you resisting at all. Like, it was Trayvon Martin's, it would have been Trayvon Martin's 22nd birthday, I think on Sunday, or, I believe it was on Sunday. And I just remember the excuses that the mainstream media and a lot of people on the right were giving. Oh, maybe he should have backed down when Zimmerman went after him. Maybe he should have been more demure, been more just close to the vest. But you're blaming the victims for protesting what they're doing. What is the right way to protest? Exactly. What is the right way for these Native Americans to protest? A pipeline being tearing through their land that was given to them because we kicked them off of their more fertile, their traditional lands and stuck them in this vast kind of, I don't want to say like wasteland, but it's a pretty tough environment. So that's the last vestige of power, of land that they have, and we're tearing through it. And what the North Dakota Republican government is saying is, no, just shut the hell up and let me take this, take that cloth that you're using to cover your face and stifle yourself with it. Because there's no right way to protest for these right-wing authoritarian people. They just want you to shut the fuck up and then just take it. And that's what kills me. It's like, it bugs me that they won't even allow the most American principle of protest because they are so hell-bent on keeping their oil profits. And when you're that insecure about your point of view, maybe you're not on the right side of things.
And let me turn, Emma gets mad at me because I make everything about the corporate Democrats, but I'm going to do it anyway. There's a thing called, what do they say, walk and chew gum at the same time?
Yeah. That's
so I get it. We got to oppose Trump on the Muslim ban, Betsy DeVos, all these things. But these legislators get paid pretty well. It's like on average between $150,000 to $200,000 a year. So I don't hear anything from Heidi Heitkamp, who's basically a Republican. She's a North Dakota Democrat.
She voted for Rex Tillerson.
Yeah. Ugh.
Because she loves that oil. She drinks it up in a smoothie every day.
I'm coming for you, Heidi Heitkamp. I don't hear anything from Chuck Schumer, who can't get enough of being in front of the camera now that he's the Senate Minority Leader. Is on MSNBC, and he wants to live stream his grandkids' bar mitzvah if you give him a chance. Nancy Pelosi, what is she doing? She did a town hall with CNN that was a giant BJ, no pun intended. Hasn't said a damn word. Elizabeth Warren, she said something the day Obama denied the permit. Not a word. I get it that being in D.C., you don't know everything that's going on in the world, but this is a pretty big issue. It's been out there for months. It's heavy on social media. They know that police are brutalizing unarmed people. They know that they're doing it in protection of an oil company. It's not enough to just raise the alarms when, okay, Obama denies the permit, so I'll come out. It's when it's less convenient, when it's not in the media spotlight, which it never was. And the reason I'm taking on the Democrats, why waste my time with the Republicans? We know they're transparently telling you they're trying to protect the oil company. And we know what the Republicans in Congress care about. You're not going to get anywhere that way. Doesn't mean they should get a pass. It just means the Democrats are the ones that are supposed to be protecting these people. At least that's what they run on. And that's the platitudes you get out. But because it's in North Dakota, because it involves an oil company, because most of the banks that Chuck Schumer takes money from are invested in this pipeline, crickets. So I do think the Republican Party is worse than the Democrats on many things, but it doesn't excuse the Democrats saying nothing here. And also, I haven't heard anything from Keith Ellison about this. Bernie's been saying things over and over. Tulsi Gabbard has said things over and over. But it's not just the young Turks that could raise awareness about things. You need people with government positions to be speaking out on this, because it's much larger to me than the Dakota Access Pipeline. It's much larger to me than North Dakota. If you get away with continually oppressing and essentially killing Native Americans, which this has the opportunity to do, what's next? They're going to do it to LGBT people, disabled people. I mean, you name it. People who cannot, don't have as big of an economic way to fight back, and don't have lobbyists to fight back. She did a report on the lobbyists earlier. So this is like North Dakota, a lot of like Texas. It's almost like the laboratory for fascism. If it passes here, it's coming to you next. And let me repeat. They're trying to seize control of the native reservations in North Dakota. They're trying to make it so they don't have to report any oil spills. And if you don't know, I tweeted about it earlier, but a decision on the pipeline is supposed to come by the end of the week. Unfortunately, I have to tell you, my gut is they're going to approve it. The tribe will then file an injunction. We'll see what happens with that. But it's scary, because I've been there several times, and it's almost like, you were there with me, it's like being in some like dystopian movie. That's like, you can't even, sometimes you gotta laugh just to not be depressed out there, because it's so wrong what they're doing. From sitting in a courtroom, literally hearing an ATF officer lie over and over and over, to essentially seeing people getting charged for felonies for like standing around a teepee. Let me tell you something. If a bunch of cowboys were on private property, they would be talked to. They would be, take your time. Just get out of here in the next half hour. It's outrageous.
Well, the Bundys, that's what happened with the Bundys. They were like armed and dangerous, and they got off scot-free. Yeah, you can basically threaten government officials if you're white and you wear a cowboy hat and you got spurs on your boots and you're a real American. But if you're Native American and you have a different culture and we've screwed you over time and time again, you get away with nothing. So shut up and let us do what we want with the pipeline protests. Lastly, I want to mention that the fight for water, it seems far away for Americans who have access, for the most part, to generally clean water, except if you're in a poor neighborhood and it's infected by lead.
It's coming in nice neighborhoods now, too.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. My point is like, there's you grow up and you see these ads for charities of clean water in like Africa or in other countries that are less fortunate than the United States. But the fight is here for clean water. It's not gonna go away. It's only going to accelerate and continue to be an issue for first poor Americans, minority Americans, then middle class, then upper class, until there's a point where water is going to be an incredibly precious resource. And that's what we get for ravaging the planet. Last point from me is North Dakota is a case study for why we have to get money out of politics. And I'll plug Wolfpack here. It's not just the federal government, and there is still democracy on the state level for many states. But North Dakota is a case study for how a particular industry can dominate a government, and they know nothing else but sucking up to oil. Even the Democrats there, Heidi Heitkamp, who's a Democrat remarkably out of North Dakota, they know nothing else. They are bought and paid for by one industry, and it's a small state of like 800,000 people. I understand that, but it's a case study for how money from one particular industry can be a deluge and can overflow and just completely dominate a political conversation. So North Dakota is as bad as it gets in that regard.
Last thing I'll say, there's a reason Chuck Schumer's donors and all the fat cat bankers, there's a reason they're investing more in water. Look it up. Google water stocks and water companies. Heavy investment in water the last 2 years, because people know water is probably what World War III is going to be about. I'm not trying to fearmonger, folks, but the bottom line is water. Without it, you die. I mean, maybe you got 4 or 5 days. I don't know how long you can go, but I've already covered Flint, East Chicago, Indiana. Now Milwaukee has problems. Cleveland has problems. California has problems. Florida has problems. Long Island, where I live, is now having a water issue. Honestly, if you got your home tested, it's not a guarantee your water is all fine. So the bottom line is most of America is built on top of lead pipes that are 50 to 80 years old. So this is just the stuff that's already been done. Now we're talking about putting a pipeline that, if you're tuning in now, it just came out that the parent company for this pipeline has had 69 oil spills in the last 2 years, and that's the spills reported. Who knows how many more smaller spills they've had that we don't need to report. So it's not a matter of if; it's when this pipeline bursts. There goes the wildlife. There goes people are going to get sick. There was a spill in the Kalamazoo River in Michigan a couple years ago. People are still sick, and people have died. So this is just data. It's known facts. This whole talking point. This is the safer way to transport oil. You know what the safer way to transport oil is? Don't fucking transport oil. We can't get off oil tomorrow, but Josh Fox, if you've watched our videos, has shown we could be wind, solar. We could turn to it right now. That's what Jill Stein's whole thing was, the green economy. It's not that we can't, it's that it's not beneficial to these politicians and the banks and the oil companies that are buying them off. So, you guys, all the numbers are in our videos. Morton County Sheriff, Army Corps of Engineers, Department of Justice. Hey, it didn't work with Betsy DeVos, even though people flooded, but sometimes it does work. Sometimes it does work. So you can't stop trying, and that's the report now. I'll be covering Standing Rock, whatever develops on my Twitter and my Facebook going on, and Emma and I will be doing some more videos today as well. Thanks for watching.